Hello, students. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, sir.
So, in the last class, we studied production function, short run production function. The short run mean there is at least one input is fixed. In the short run, there is at least one input is fixed. So, short run is the period that is too short to alter all the inputs, to adjust all the input. That time is too short for the firm to change all the inputs level amount. So at least one input is fixed. Normally the building or machinery, so land, these are maybe fixed input for a firm. But other inputs, material, fuel, labor, so these are normally variable inputs. If it's a farm, land may be a fixed, or machinery may be a fixed, and the fertilizer, seeds, pesticide, labor, so those can be a variable input. So short run mean there is at least one input is fixed. The time is too short to change the input. So long run mean firm has enough time to change the level of all the inputs for the production. So then there is no fixed input. So now we are studying first short run production. We studied we saw the production function in a graph also, total production, average production, marginal production, short run production curve and function. Now we will study short run production cost. So if there is a fixed input then we will have a fixed cost. Fixed cost for the rent, for the building, the salary, fixed salary, wages is different. Wages for variable input. Salary mean per month. So manager or anybody getting fixed salary in that firm, that is fixed cost. So whether you produce or not, you have to pay the rent for the building or vehicle. So you hire some vehicle, you have to pay. So you borrow money from the bank for this business, you have to pay interest. So or you buy lease some vehicle, so you have to pay insurance. So those are whether you produce or not, you have to pay this, that is fixed cost. So fixed costs do not vary with the output. Variable cost mostly material and labor. So any material, so it can be fuel or steel or any material using for the production, and labor, daily labor, there, not the fixed salary labor. So those are, when you produce more and more, you need more labor, you need more material. So it vary with the level of production. Variable cost vary with the production. If you produce more and more, you need more material, more labor. So variable costs increase. Fixed cost will not change with the output, level of output. So if you draw the fixed cost curve, fixed cost and the in the vertical axis, horizontal axis in the output, then fixed cost is a horizontal line parallel to the output horizontal axis. So fixed costs do not vary, but variable costs increase with the level of output. So variable cost will have positive slope. We will study then the next slide how the variable cost curve shape look like. So then total cost, the combination of summation of total fixed cost plus variable cost is the total cost. So then average per unit production cost. Per unit production cost means average. So average fixed cost. So average fixed cost means the fixed cost per unit output. Amount of fixed cost per unit output. So we divide total fixed cost by the amount of output we produce. Then it will give per unit fixed cost. So that is average fixed cost. So then fixed cost is constant. It will not vary with the output. So then average fixed cost will decline continuously when the output increase. So initially it will decline sharply. So first, when you divide the fixed cost by numbers, so first you can see big reduction in the average fixed cost. Now 100 is fixed cost, $100. If you divide by 100, if you buy 250, if you buy divided by 3, 33.3, then 4, 25, then 5, 20, then you can see reduction. So first $50 reduction, then $17 reduction, then 25, then 20, like that the reduction it's decreasing. So then if we divide any fixed amount by numbers, then it will decline continually, but it's a rectangular hyperbola set. So average fixed cost take a rectangular hyperbola. So when the output approach infinity, it will become close to the horizontal axis. So average fixed cost. Average variable cost. So average variable cost, the per unit, the variable cost per unit product set. So that is, if we divided by total variable cost by the total output, we will get the variable cost per unit product set. That is average variable cost. But you know, fixed cost is concerned, total variable cost increasing, but the increasing the total production, so opposite to the total production. So total production we studied last class. So up to certain point, the total production increase at the increasing rate. So after a certain point, the total production increase at the decreasing rate, then reach the maximum, then decrease. So first few inputs, the total product increase at the increasing rate. So marginal product increase, the total production slope is the marginal product. So marginal product increase. So in the yellow area, you can see total production increase at the increasing rate, the slope increase. Then in the green area, total production increase at the decreasing rate. Then total production after the maximum decrease. So then cost, total variable cost. So will like a opposite. So if we assume the variable input only labor, so machinery and labor. So if we assume the variable input only labor, so if the additional labor produce more, then we are paying all the labor same wage. So if first labor produce certain amount, second labor produce more than the first labor, then we need for produce per unit output. Now we will use less labor. So additional labor produce more output. So then then the output increase. So then total cost will decline. The increase but decreasing rate. So if additional labor produce more and more, that means total products increase at the increasing rate, then to produce additional output, we use less labor because each additional labor produce more and more output. Then to produce additional output, we don't pay more because each additional labor produce more. Then each additional output cost less. So total cost increase at the decreasing rate. After a certain point, then each additional labor produce less and less. So to produce one additional output, we need more labor. So the total cost then increase at the increasing rate. So the opposite to the total production. So up to certain amount output. So up to certain level of input, each additional input produce more and more. Then to produce one more additional output, we use less and less input. So the additional output cost less. So the total cost increase at the decreasing rate. Then the total production increase at the decreasing rate. That means each additional labor produce less and less. Then to produce one more output, we need to use more and more labor. So the total cost will increase at the increasing rate. So here, so output graph, the horizontal axis is output. The cost curve, horizontal axis output, vertical axis cost curve. The total production, horizontal axis input, vertical axis production. So you should not confuse. So some students always use horizontal axis input for the cost curve also. The cost curve relationship between output and cost. So horizontal axis is cost, the output, vertical axis is cost. The production function, vertical axis input, the horizontal axis input, vertical axis production. So there is a relationship with the total production, total cost curve, total variable cost. Because of this total production have this shape, total cost, total variable cost take and depend on this total production shape. If total production increase, initially increasing rate, then increase at the decreasing rate, then decrease. So total cost or total variable cost both increase at the decreasing rate initially, then after certain point, then increase at the increasing rate. So it will not decrease. So because this is decrease, so increase at the decreasing rate, then decrease. So then total cost, total variable cost continuously increase at the increasing rate. So marginal product increase, then decrease. Law of diminishing return after certain point. So marginal product increase, then diminishing return happen. Law of diminish. So when the marginal product increase, marginal cost decrease. When marginal product decrease, marginal cost increase. So opposite mirror image. Average product increase, then decrease. Then average variable cost, average total cost decrease, then increase. So opposite mirror image. So then the increase cost should be decrease. When the production decrease, cost should be increase. So average variable cost per unit variable cost. Average total cost is the summation of average fixed cost plus average variable cost is the average total cost. So marginal cost, that is change in total cost over change in quantity. Per additional, if we produce additional unit of output, the change in total cost or change in total variable cost. So fixed cost will not change. So with the output, changing cost, variable cost, and the total cost, summation of total fixed cost and total variable cost. So change in total cost or change in total variable cost for the change in quantity, that is marginal cost. Marginal mean additional, extra. For additional output, to produce additional output, the change in total cost or change in total variable cost is the marginal cost. So now we will see how the total variable cost and total cost curve look. So in the horizontal axis, output, you should not forget. In the production function, horizontal axis, input. Here, horizontal axis, output. So total fixed cost is not changed with the output. So total variable cost, when the production 0, total variable cost 0. We don't need labor, material or any variable input. So no variable cost. When we produce more and more output, we need more material and more labor. So variable inputs we need. So variable cost increase. But variable cost initially increase at the decreasing rate. You can see the slope of the total variable cost. It's decreasing up to certain level of output. By it's decreasing, the marginal product increase up to certain point. Each additional labor or each additional material produce more and more. So then each additional output costs less. So then the total variable cost increase at the decreasing rate. After certain level of output, diminishing marginal return occur. That means each additional variable input produce less and less. So to produce additional output, we need more variable input. So each additional input, the additional output cost more variable cost. So then variable cost increase at the increasing rate, slope increase. So then total cost is the summation of total fixed cost plus total variable cost. So parallel to the total variable cost, total fixed cost will be there. So the difference between total cost and total variable cost is the fixed cost. So then you know the relationship. So because of marginal product, this curve, total variable cost, total cost curve, take this shape because of marginal product. Initially, marginal product increase at the increasing rate, then marginal product decrease. So each additional variable input initially produce more and more, marginal product increase, each additional input produce less and less continuously, diminishing marginal return. So then that is why total cost. So why marginal product? It's follow that shape, initially increasing then decreasing because of fixed input. In the short run, there is a fixed input. So that is the reason marginal product initially increase then decrease. If we have machinery, that is fixed input. If we use one labor, then he have enough time to use that machinery. but he has to do all the work in the machinery. But if then we add second labor, so then they both have enough time to use that machinery, but in the machinery they can do separate work. So to produce one output, some work one person do, then second labor will do. So now they specialize. Earlier one person do all the work. Now the second person do a specialized work. First person also do a specialized work. He is specialized in that. So both are specialized in the work they do in the machinery. Then the second labor, additional second labor, when we add second labor, we will produce more than the when we use one labor. Now they are using specialized. So third labor, when we add third labor also, if there is 3 different tasks in the machinery to produce a output, then they divide 3 separate task work. So they may be specialized in that work. When they do any work repeatedly, they will specialize. So 3 people specialize, then they will produce more. So, but after okay, students. Okay. So then how the average cost, marginal cost look like. So we already know the average fixed cost continuously decline when the output increase, because fixed cost is constant amount. Then when we divide by the numbers output, the average fixed cost decline first very sharply, then decline less and less. So that is mathematical relationship. So that is simply a mathematics. When you divide a fixed number by numbers continuously, then it will take rectangular hyperbola shape. So that is mathematics. And the average, the marginal cost, average variable cost, average total cost, it's opposite to the marginal product, average product. So then here, when the marginal product increase, marginal cost decrease. Each additional labor produce more and more output. So we are paying same wage, each additional labor. So each additional labor produce more and more when the marginal product increase. We are paying all the labor same wage. So if the additional labor produce more, then we are paying less, then marginal cost is less. So if we are using only labor is the variable input. So if we say, we can simply calculate marginal cost. So if the wage is $10, so additional labor produce 10 unit, 10 per unit. Each additional labor produce 10 unit output. If you are paying $10 this additional labor as a wage, marginal cost is the wage divided by the additional output. So 10 divided by 10, 1. So marginal cost is 1. So if we say second labor produce 20 unit, so that marginal product increase. So for this additional 20 unit, we are paying additional this labor $10. So this then additional output cost $0.5 because additional labor produce 20 unit output, but we are paying additional labor also $10, same wage. So now this additional output produced by only $0.5. The wage divided by the output, additional output, wage divided by the additional output, give the, for the additional output, what is the variable cost, that is marginal cost. So if only labor is variable input, so if material and other input if we consider, we cannot simply calculate this variable cost. So if one only variable input is labor, we can wage divided by each additional labor produced output, that is marginal cost. But if we have more input to need to produce output, we have to calculate another way. We cannot so simply like that. So when the marginal product increase, marginal cost decrease, then marginal product reach maximum, then marginal product going to decline, diminishing, law of diminishing marginal return. So then marginal cost increase. So average product increase, then average variable cost should decrease. So then average product increase, average variable cost should decrease. Then average product reach maximum, then decrease. So then average variable cost should increase. So average total cost is summation of average variable cost, average fixed cost. So that is average total cost. So you can see the relationship between average total cost and average variable cost at the initial level of output. So you can see the gap is big between average variable cost and average total cost. The gap is fixed cost. So at initial output level, the fixed cost is high, average fixed cost. So the gap is high. So when produce more and more, you can see average total cost and average variable cost become closer because average fixed cost is decreased. So the difference between average total cost and average variable cost is average fixed cost. So you can see this marginal cost curve intersect at the minimum of average variable cost, average total cost. We saw in the production, the marginal product intersect at the average production maximum point. Then the marginal cost intersect average variable cost and average total cost at the minimum. So marginal cost intersect the average variable cost and average total cost at the minimum. So you can see here marginal product increase, then reach the maximum, then decrease. But then the intersect average production, intersect marginal cost go through the maximum of average production. So intersect at the maximum of average production. So marginal cost opposite the mirror image. So marginal cost intersect at the minimum of average variable cost and average total cost. So you know the relationship. Then by the marginal cost and average variable cost, average total cost have a relationship. You can see when the marginal cost below the average variable cost decrease. Then after intersect marginal cost above the average variable cost. So then in the marginal cost above the average variable cost increase. So like that, average earlier marginal cost below the average total cost. So when the marginal cost below the average total cost decline. Then intersect the beyond that intersect point, marginal cost greater than average total cost. So average total cost increase. So like the production also like that. When the marginal product above the average product, then average product increase. When the marginal product below the average product decrease. So the relationship between average product, marginal product, average variable cost, marginal cost, average total cost, marginal cost, this relationship you can see. This is simply mathematics. So if you have average score, so average marks. So for subject, you got the marks, then you have average marks. So additional subject, one more subject marks is coming. That is greater than your average marks. But will happen to the average? Definitely, then you all the subject marks you calculate and get average more because the additional subject you got 100. So earlier for subject 80 average. Now fifth subject result come, you got 100. Then your average should be earlier average 80. Now more than 80. Like that you have 4 marks you got, then average is 80. Now the fifth subject marks come 50. Now your average will be less than earlier 80. So this additional marks, that is additional, the marginal, like marginal product, marginal cost. So if the marginal product greater than average product, then your average product increase. Then if the marginal product less than the average product, then your average product decrease. Like that, marginal cost. If the marginal cost less than the average cost, then your average cost decrease. But when the average marginal cost above the average cost, then your average cost increase. So simply mathematics. So that is the relationship. So marginal cost or marginal product should intersect at the if it is cost at the minimum, if it is production at the maximum. So production relationship, marginal cost. Why marginal cost take this U shape? marginal cost decrease and increase. Marginal cost decrease at the reach minimum, then increase because of diminishing return. So marginal product increase and reach the maximum, then decrease. Marginal cost, that is marginal cost and marginal product. Marginal cost and average variable cost, we saw the relationship. If the marginal cost below the average variable cost decrease. Marginal cost above the average variable cost increase, like that. Marginal cost, average total cost. So production curve and cost curve. So the opposite image. So if it is average, marginal, average variable cost, average variable cost, marginal cost is the mirror image of the marginal product, average product. Marginal cost, average variable cost is the mirror image of the marginal product, average product. So shift in cost curve. So this average cost curve, this total cost will shift if there is change either in input price or technology. So if the input price change and technology change, this cost curve shift. If there is no change in the input price, there is no change in the technology, this cost curve, this production curve will not change. So if the input price change, production curve will not change. So total production, marginal product, average production curve will not change by the input price. So that is only production relationship. But when the input price increase, so that means here in a short run, the fixed cost will not change. So fixed input will not price, it's fixed already. But the variable input price change. So the variable input price change, then average variable cost shift upward. So the average variable cost shift upward, then average total cost also shift upward. Then marginal cost curve also shift upward if the input price, variable input price increase. If the variable input price increase, the average total cost shift, average variable cost shift, marginal cost also shift upward to produce each additional output. Earlier, one labor wage is $10. Now, one labor we had to pay $20. So, marginal cost increase, average variable cost increase, average total cost is sum of even average fixed cost is not changed because only labor price change. So even average fixed cost is not changed, but average marginal cost change, average variable cost change, then average total cost will change because summation of average variable cost and average fixed cost is the average total cost. So average cost, variable, total and marginal cost shift upward. If input price decrease, then these average variable, average total cost, marginal cost shift downward. So total cost, the total cost, total fixed cost will not change because labor, variable input, wage change. So then total variable cost shift upward, then total cost also shift upward. So the fixed cost will not change. If the fixed cost change, then everything, if the fixed cost change, So the marginal cost will not change. Average variable cost will not change. Only average fixed cost and average total cost will change. So if the fixed costs change, fixed input price change, then average total cost will change, average fixed cost will change, marginal cost and average variable cost will not change. The total cost, total fixed cost change, total variable cost will not change, total cost will change because summation. So when the variable input price change, the average variable cost, marginal cost, average total cost, all three will change. If the fixed input price increase, only average fixed cost and average total cost will change. So then if input price change, how this cost curve change? Now if the technology change, so earlier old technology, now new technology. So if the technology change, so now by the new technology, with few inputs, we can produce more. Few labor, we can produce more because machinery, it's efficient machinery, very fast. So each labor will produce more because of new technology. Then if technology change, the production curve also will change. But earlier case, when the input price change, production curve will not change and will not affect anything. That is only technical relationship production. So if the technology change, the production curve also shift. So total production curve shift up. Now productivity increase because of new technology. Then marginal product also shift upward. So average production curve also shift upward in the production function because productivity increase. So if that shift upward in the total production and the marginal product, average product, that is opposite. Average variable cost, marginal cost. So marginal cost shift down and average variable cost also shift down. Then average total cost decrease, shift down. So average fixed cost also shift down because technology produce more output. So all the curves shift down. Average fixed cost shift down, average variable cost shift down, average total cost shift down, marginal cost also shift down if technology improve. So because productivity increase. So if the input price change or technology change, then cost curve will shift. So you can see marginal product, average product, and marginal cost, average variable cost have the mirror image. The cost curve, average variable cost, marginal cost curve is the mirror image of the marginal product average. So you can see the horizontal axis is different. The quantity labor, here quantity output. So only shape is the opposite. So you should not think like same much like a matching. The shape will be opposite. In the shape. So you should not that they are quantity labels or same level quantity output, not like that. So both horizontal axis is different, but image like a opposite. So here out cost curve always horizontal axis output, vertical axis cost. In the production, horizontal axis labor, vertical axis production. So the same look opposite, but the unit and everything will be different. The shape only opposite. So the reason why the marginal cost decrease then increase, why marginal product increase, and so long run production cost. So in the long run, firm can alter all the inputs. So there is no fixed cost. All the input become variable input. So firm has enough time to change the plant size, increase or decrease. Decrease also possible, increase also possible. They can buy a new building, new machinery, or they can sell the building or some machinery they can sell. So they can adjust, increase or decrease any way. So in the long run, the firm choose the plant size. So to minimize average total cost. So then in the long run, we have only one average cost curve because there is no fixed cost. All are variable. So in the short run, we have two average cost curve. One is average variable cost, average total cost. In the long run, all are variable. So we simply say average total cost. So, but when the firm has enough time, then they can change their plant size and the variable input. So to produce different level of output, they can choose what plant size will give minimum cost. So they will choose if they want to produce 100 units using 2 machinery or 10 machinery will give minimum cost. That one, if we use 400 unit produce output, sometime using 2 machinery will be a minimum cost. But if we use more machinery, then it may, if we consider that fixed cost, 10 additional 8 machinery, then to produce 100 units, the average cost may be high. So to produce 100 units, 2 machinery is the, if you use, it will produce, you can produce each output at the lowest cost than using 10 machinery. So to produce 200 units, sometime using 2 machinery will give average cost high. If you use 4 machinery, you can produce at the lowest cost. Like that, each output level, there will be a different plant size. So each different level of output, you will have a different short run curve because different machinery, number of machinery you will use to have a minimum average total cost in the long run. So if you see in the graph, the long run average total cost is the envelope of the short run average total cost curve. Many short run we can show in the graph. Now, when you use different number of machinery, so first curve so short run cost, if you use average total and the one machinery, the average total cost look like. If you use 2 machinery, the average total cost, short run average total cost like that. If you use 3 machinery, like that, 4 machinery. So these are number of short run cost curve with the different machinery, number of machinery. So any number of short run optimum size cost curve can be constructed. So now then long run average total cost look like that. So if you see to produce this level of output, if you use 2 machinery or 3 machinery, 4 machinery, it will cost more. So to produce this output, you will use only 1 machinery. That will give the lowest cost, average cost. So second, so each machinery at certain output level, that is the minimum cost. So then long run average total cost will take like that. This red color, yeah, the curve is short run, different number of plant size. So they are not change the plant size at that time. 5 machinery, that is 5 machinery, 4 machinery. But in the long run, you can use 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. You have enough time. So you, for each output level, you can choose which number of machinery it's used, you can produce at the lowest cost, average cost. So long run average cost is the envelope of short run average cost. So now we derive long run average cost. So like that we can derive long run marginal cost. So like earlier we studied the long run marginal cost curve also first decline, then go through the minimum of this long run average total cost curve. So we will study this detail in the intermediate microeconomics. So here no diminishing marginal return, low. In the long run, no diminishing marginal return. So because there is no fixed input, the low diminishing return only in the short run. So this long run average total cost curve, this U shape, it's not like the we studied in the short run average total cost U shape. In the short run, that average total cost take that U shape because of diminishing marginal return, that fixed input. Because of fixed input, marginal product increase and decrease. That is why short run average cost curve take U shape. Marginal cost curve take U shape. But this long run average total cost take U shape but not diminishing marginal return, low, because here no fixed input. In the long run, no fixed input. So this U shape not due to the fixed input or due to the diminishing marginal return, low marginal return. So not the marginal product. So this is different reasons. We will study in the next class. We have some more slides. Then we will study the next class market. So we will study this long run cost curve further, and next class we will finish and we will start the market for pure competitive market. Okay, student, I am stopping here. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay, sir.
Thank you, 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 sir.